Good morning. This is Kathleen Clow with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Tuesday, July 21st, 2026. Today's fire potential headlines include continued widespread mix and wet thunderstorms lasting through midweek, which will bring a lightning risk today and tomorrow, but also increased cloud cover and higher relative humidities across the region. Despite this precip potential, temperatures will remain hot with breezy and dry conditions returning to the western edge of the Great Basin on Friday. A fuel and fire behavior advisory remains in effect for eastern Nevada, much of Utah, and the Arizona Strip. And basin-wide, we expect some higher IA the next 2 days due to the lightning potential, but less large fire potential due to expected precipitation. Fuels will begin to start drying in the north and west late this week, as well as across eastern Utah. Putting that to a map, today we expect widespread mix and wet storms, which will bring a risk for lightning and increased IA due to underlying fuel conditions, as well as breezier conditions across parts of central Idaho. These conditions will persist on Wednesday, which is our last real heavy day of precipitation across the basin. And by Thursday, storms will move out of the western half of the basin, followed by dry and breezy conditions. Over the next 3 days, we expect hot temperatures basin wide, as well as an increasing smoke impact from Idaho from all the fires burning in Oregon, and you can see that there in the gray. As far as our watches and warnings today, you can see widespread flood watches across much of the basin where we expect to see that heavier precip, and then also a flash flood warning that occurred over the Cottonwood fire and ended this morning at 9 a.m., as well as some air quality alerts for that smoke impact across Idaho there. Over the past 24 hours, we received some widespread precipitation across the basin, with the highest amounts across the Sierra Front, eastern Nevada, and the high elevations of central Utah, with localized pockets of heavier rain exceeding half an inch. With this precipitation, we also received widespread lightning, some of which was on the drier side, leading to some increased IA. Over the past 24 hours, the Great Basin had 18 new starts for a total of 204.7 acres and a large fire growth of 1,595 acres. Satellite this morning shows widespread cloudy conditions, and you can see that storm activity across Nevada and Utah, with some lightning strikes occurring over eastern Nevada and northern central Utah, and clear skies across central Nevada and eastern Utah. The heaviest areas of smoke impact for today will be across the northern half of the basin from all of those Oregon and Northern California fires, as well as central Utah from neighboring Colorado fires. Tomorrow, this pattern persists across the north, but Utah will see less of a smoke impact overall. Forecast fire nature conditions include higher ERC values across the northern portions of the basin and ERC values below 70% for southern portions of the basin. These values are forecast to come down over the next couple days with our expected precip through tomorrow, but will be back on the rise by the end of the week with those dry conditions returning. As the storm system continues to move through the basin today, we'll see some moderate conditions across western parts of the basin due to that IA lightning potential. And across the rest of the basin, we'll see low risk or little to no risk through Thursday, and that is due to the precip we expect to get over the next couple days. But on Thursday there, you can see that dry air moving back into the basin and those oranges and reds across Nevada, Utah, and parts of central Idaho. Our main wind concerns over much of the basin remain those gusty storm outflows, but you can see we also have a concern for some breezier conditions across portions of central Idaho today and tomorrow, as well as possibly across western Wyoming on Thursday and northwestern Nevada. You can see with these breezy conditions, we do have RH values that will increase through tomorrow, and then they will start to decrease again on Thursday and be back in the teens in some of those areas across the western half of the basin. For our next 3 days of precipitation, today we expect our heaviest precip across the western half of the basin. You can see those darker areas across Nevada there. And then tomorrow, our bigger precip day for central Utah, western Wyoming, and parts of central Idaho, but overall light precip across the rest of the basin. And then by Thursday, that precipitation has moved out of most of the basin, and you can see we'll still see some remaining amounts across portions of the eastern half. Again, with this precipitation, we will still see those very high temperatures, again, triple digits up near Boise, and in the high 90s for most of the week, as well as those triple digits down in our usual suspect areas on the strips. Adding those 3 daily images together, you can see our areas of highest precip are across the higher elevations of central Utah, where we've been seeing that high precip, and across portions of eastern Nevada and northern central Idaho there. Again, it's still a concern for that flash flooding across our burn scars. Friday into the weekend, we expect those moderate risk areas to start to increase from west to east, and you can see we've also added some wind triggers in there for Saturday and Sunday following those breezy conditions. But overall, we'll see a change of pace from all of this precip into kind of a breezy and dry period through Sunday. Wind risk wise, you can see those areas of breezier conditions in the darker green there across portions of Nevada and Idaho, which will expand really into Saturday. And you can see that orange blob over northern central Idaho there with still those breezy conditions across northwestern Nevada and Idaho on Sunday. And with these breezy conditions, we're going to be back into the single digit RHs in some of these areas and continue to dry out from Friday through Sunday. So we'll say goodbye to all of those very nice green areas. Even across eastern Utah will begin to dry out. So overall, entering this drying and breezy period. We'll continue to see the chance for some pop-up scattered precip across the basin Friday through Sunday, but it will not amount to much, maybe up to 1/10 of an inch in some areas, but again, very big change of pace, especially across Utah with that monsoon making its way out. And you can see those hot temperatures really following with this dry and breezy air. 103 in Boise, in the triple digits across a lot of areas of Nevada, and hot again across Utah as well. Summarizing our next 7 days of precip, you can see Wednesday is kind of our highest precip day. And then after that, we'll see less and less precip across the basin leading into Monday. So overall, leaving this wet pattern that we've been in and really returning to that drying pattern. That pattern change is reflected in our 7-day outlook, and you can see a lot of green leaving the map as we go through Monday and a return of some of those moderate conditions across the western portion of the basin, as well as that wind risk coming in Saturday and Sunday. So overall, leaving that wet period going into a dry and warming period. For our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, you can see above normal temperatures are expected across the entire basin, which we've been seeing. And then for our precip outlook, you can see near normal precipitation across the northern portion of the basin, which again for the summer is usually on the low end. And then we can see that above normal chance for precip across the southern portion of the basin in Utah. So maybe some more monsoonal activity coming our way, but overall going to be hot and dry through Sunday. That concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.